morning, everyone. My name is Judith and we will do an hour of gentle yoga. So we will start sitting a little bit, so whatever is comfortable for you, maybe a bolster, maybe a block, and then we will lay down on our back. So come to a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. You can be cross-legged, you can be kneeling, you can sit on a chair. And then arrive. Maybe close your eyes. Hands can be in the lap, they can be on the knees if you're cross-legged. And then check in how you feel. Noticing your breath. Maybe again, if it's helpful, bringing a hand to your chest and a hand on the belly. And then feeling your breath. Taking an inhale. And exhale. So, following the rhythm of your breath. Just being here. Maybe releasing hands. And maybe just noticing your breathing. Maybe keeping the eyes closed or maybe opening the eyes. And today I wanted to share a little bit or something. I was actually talking to a friend and we were discussing about patterns, and she mentioned that she once learned from at a work environment that it's always best to be prepared for the worst case scenario and also prepared for a best case scenario. And my first reaction was, oh wow, how stressful. And then this morning I was actually thinking, it depends, as so often in life. So this is a pattern, a conditioning. And the question is actually not, is it bad, is it good? The question is it serving you? So we have so many patterns, so many conditionings. And some are serving us and some maybe not so much anymore. So I invite you today, or right now, maybe again closing your eyes, checking in. Do you feel any pattern lately that maybe is serving you? Or maybe it's something coming up that's not serving you anymore. Be grateful it was there at times given. And whatever the outcome is, it doesn't matter. It's about finding our inner truth. And so when we do yoga, when we connect to the breath, when we go inside, that can be helpful to really, discover and see where we are at this point. So take a couple of more breaths, maybe closing your eyes. Just watching your breath. And see whether something is coming up. Take about 3 more breaths here. And let's release the arms. And then from here, just with the breath, moving a little bit with the breath. So with an inhale, lifting the arms up. And then with an exhale, lowering the arms down. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, lifting up. Maybe there's a reach. And then exhale, lowering the arms, bringing the palms down, lowering the shoulders. And then 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. We do one more. Inhale, we're lifting up the arms. And then exhale, we lower the arms. And release. Alright. And then from here we come down on our back, actually on the mat. So coming down, first bending the knees, and then 2 or 3 breaths just here, feeling our spine, letting the shoulders sink down, noticing what's going on in the neck, in the low back. And let's bring the knees to the chest. Maybe you pump them a few times. Bring the knees to the chest and then releasing the knees away. With an exhale, pulling in, and with an inhale, moving them away. And then wrapping the arms around the knees gently, and then go from side to side. Doing this slow or very slow. Maybe you let your head roll to the opposite side. Alright, and then we come towards the side all the way over, towards one side. And then let's position the legs. So you're laying on your side, position the legs, that the knees are kind of perpendicular to the upper body and the lower legs to the upper legs. We work a little bit with a spinal twist. So we bring the arms forward, letting the head hang. If that's really uncomfortable, maybe you use a blanket or a towel. And then from here, we're lifting that upper arm. First just lifting the arm, and then checking in how far that arm goes. And once there's a resistance, then allow your body to roll open. That upper shoulder comes towards the back, the head rolls. And then slowly we're coming back whenever there's resistance towards the ground. So there's no goal to touch the ground on the other side. So it's an inhale, then again lifting the arm, reaching up, maybe by waiting for the resistance in the shoulder, and then allowing the heaviness of that arm to roll open, letting the head go, and just see how far the arm goes, and then slowly we're bringing that arm back, rolling back, forward, so the palms are stacked, the arms are stacked, the shoulders are stacked. Do 3 more. Moving with your breath. Or maybe even slower. Noticing how that feels in your upper body, the shoulders. Maybe you notice every time, without forcing, the arm comes down a little bit more. And then we do a last one. And so here, when you're in the twist, if it feels good, allow to stay here for a few breaths. Turning the head away, away from the knees. If that shoulder doesn't feel good, you can bring the arm in and just let the shoulder be heavy. Take out one more breath. And from here, we're coming back. Alright. And we come back to center. Center our spine, wiggling a little bit, and then coming over towards the other side. So making sure the knees are perpendicular to the upper body, the arms are stacked, letting the head hang. And then use the next inhale, lifting out that upper arm, coming over, maybe following with your head that moving arm, and then slowly coming back. And for this one, I was just actually coming into twist right away. You can do either or, so whatever works. So the other option is to just first lift the arm, see how far that one goes back, and then allow the shoulder to drop, and the head is following. And you open up into a twist. So do a few more. Go slow. Notice how that feels in your upper body. Moving with your breath. Notice how this side feels different than the other. And we're looking here for kind of the range of motion, also the quality of the movement. And then the next time you're coming into the twist, then stay here if this feels good. Maybe letting the arm hang. Maybe bringing the arm in, just letting the shoulder hang. Head turns. Maybe allowing the legs to move a little bit. So 1 or 2 more breaths. So allowing the body to sink into the ground. And then slowly coming back. Out of the twist. And then we roll back on our back. Wiggling a little bit, finding the center for our spine. And then let's do a windshield viper. If you like, you can bring your arms over your head. Widen your feet a little bit so the knees are bent. And then go from side to side with the knees. Notice how that is doing, how that is feeling in your hips. Maybe doing this slow or very slow. Noticing what's going on in your low back. And if you like, maybe coming a little bit more into an arch. So when the knees are over towards the one side, pushing in the other foot, letting the hips lift up a little bit more. Coming back to center. Knees towards the second side, and then the outer foot pushes in. Maybe 1 or 2 more rounds. And release. Alright. Bring the arms along the body, and the feet, the heels underneath the knees. And then from here we do a few bridge lifts. So we have the feet pointing forward, about hip width apart. And then with the next inhale, pushing into the heels, lifting the hips up any amount. And then with an exhale, coming down. And we're adding the arms. So with an inhale, we're lifting the hips up, we're lifting the arms over the head, any amount, and then exhale, we're coming down. So do a few of these. Follow the pattern of your breath. So an inhale, you're lifting the hips up, the arms reach over, and then with an exhale, you come back. If it works for you, you can also work the spine a little bit with rolling up. So when we roll more with the spine, so when we come down, it's like a lengthening of the tailbone. Maybe a little bit of arch in between. And with an inhale, the tailbone goes long, leads lifting up. And we're coming down. Let's do 1 more. And see how that feels, how that works, moving with your breath. Alright. And then we do kind of the same movement, but we follow a different breathing pattern. So again, with an inhale, we lift the hips up, we lift the arms over the head, but then we stay here, not moving, but exhaling. And then keep the breath out, and then lower the hips, lower the arms. And the hips are down, the arms are down. You're ready to inhale. Inhale, lifting the arms, lifting the hips. Then staying here, exhaling. Feel how your belly button pulls towards the spine. Then without breathing, holding the breath out, lowering the hips, lowering the arms down. And then let's do this a few more rounds. So with the inhale, lifting the arms, lifting the hips. Exhaling here. And then from here, lowering without breathing, keeping the breath out. Inhaling, lifting the arms, lifting the hips. Exhaling, not moving. Moving without breathing. And then go on your own when you're ready. Again, starting the movement with the breath. And then separate the movement from the breath. Do about 2 more rounds on your own. When you're done, when the hips are down, come back to a regular breathing pattern. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here. Let's widen the knees, or let's widen the feet again. And then again a windshield wiper. Back to center, and bringing the knees to the chest, and let's pump them a few times. Feel how your low back moves away from the ground, lengthening of the low back. Alright, and then from here either roll from side to side and then eventually towards one side to lift up, or come into a rock and roll, and then from here we lift up. And we come around on our hands and knees. So bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, and you're welcome to use a blanket underneath your knees. A few rounds of cat and cow. So with an exhale now, rounding the spine. And then with an inhale, arching the spine, looking forward, opening the chest. And then exhale, chin to the chest. Mid spine presses up. And then inhale, arching the spine, leading from the chest, gently lifting the head, and then go for 2 or 3 more rounds. Find your own rhythm. Go 1 more round. And we find a neutral spine. Let's find a little bit of opening of the upper body. So we're walking, we keep the hips over the knees, but walk the hands a little bit more forward. Grounding the hands down. Fingers are spread, hands about shoulder width apart or more. And then from here, allow your upper body to sink down, keeping the arms straight. And if you like, you can use a block for your forehead. Or maybe if you feel open in your upper body, so maybe the forehead comes down, creating a little bit of a ski slope in your upper body. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths. Some of you might be really open and bring the chin down, or maybe even the chest. So whatever works. Honoring what's going on in the shoulders. You can certainly do this also with one arm in. And then switching the arms. Let's do one more breath here. And then slowly we're walking the legs, the hands back in. And then very gently, slowly coming into a small cat. And then inhale, arching the spine. And then one more round into a cat. And into cow. Alright. And we come back. Maybe bring the hands a little bit more forward, spreading all the fingers, tugging the toes. And then let's come into a downward facing dog. Hands about shoulder width apart or more. We spread the fingers. We can bend the knees. Maybe you actually walk your dog first. So bending one knee after the other. Any movement that feels good in your body. Maybe you feel like it coming forward to plank. Finding another stretch. And then stay here for about 3 breaths. It's interesting, like the pattern, we have patterns also in our movement. So what's the movement or the pattern, how we come into a downward facing dog? Is this serving us? Or maybe not so much anymore because it's just old and yeah, it's history. It was serving us before. Take another breath. And then from here, let's bring the knees down. And then come into child's pose. Wiggling the hips. Staying here for a few more breaths. So make it your child's pose. Arms can be forward or arms can be along your body. Wiggling your hips maybe if this feels good. And then checking in how you're doing so far. Is it a pattern to follow directions? Or were you able to modify if you needed that in these first couple of minutes at the beginning of the class? For some of us, a deep-rooted pattern. Take another breath. And from here we're lifting up into a tabletop. And then let's lift one leg. Taking another breath here. So pulling the belly a little bit in, reaching into the heel. And then let's bring, that knee, so bending the knee and bringing the knee forward towards the front arm. So same side arm. And then inhale, extend. We do about 3 more. So with an exhale, bending the knee, bring the knee forward. Maybe it comes high, maybe it doesn't come so high. Just notice how that feels. Bringing movement into the hip, warming the hip up a little bit more. Notice whether you can keep the belly engaged, abdominals engaged, strong core. And then the next time the knee is forward, bring the leg forward and lift up. So I'm coming around, so we're approaching gate pose. So letting that outer foot either point forward, if that works for you, trying to ground into the outside of the foot, or bringing turning the foot a little bit out. So we try to bring the sole of the foot down, grounding into the outside of the foot. Check in with your low back. If you feel a little bit of a compression, bring your tailbone down a little bit. And then from here, lift your arms, any amount. If it works for you, maybe you interlock fingers, turn the palms out. If the shoulders don't like that so much, maybe you have a wide V. Take another breath. And from here, let's come over towards that leg that's straightened out. Breathing. If it works for you, you can interlock fingers, turning the palm out. You can also release that one arm. There are always options. Take another breath. Feeling that side stretching here, and then releasing. Coming down towards the other side, bring the hand down. Kind of finding one line. It's lifting that one arm, if that works for you. Finding a side stretch on the other side, so bringing the arm over. Here, bringing the arm back. Now maybe you stay here, you ground into that, in that one foot, or maybe you lift that leg. Like a modified half moon. Notice how that feels. Reaching into the heel, reaching into the crown of the head, extending both arms. And then release. You're lifting up. From here, I'm staying in the middle, coming down, bringing the knee in. And then let's move a few rounds to cat and cow. So with an exhale, rounding. And then with an inhale, an arching of the spine. Exhale, round. Then inhale, arch the spine. You're switching legs. So bringing the other leg out. Extended kind of tabletop, pulling the lower belly in. Feeling the strength when you push into your hands. Finding a lot of length. And then working the other hip. So with an exhale, bringing the knee towards the side. And then with an inhale, finding length, extending, keep the belly pulling in. So a few more. And just check in how high you want to lift the knee. In the end, it doesn't matter. The question is, does it work for you? So it depends. Moving with your breath. And then we do one more. And so when the knee is to the outside, straightening the leg, bringing the foot down, lifting up, preparing for our gate pose. So grounding into the outside of that foot that is that is facing down. Maybe bringing the foot a little bit out to the side, checking in with your low back, maybe a little bit of a lengthening of the tailbone, and then lifting the arms. So whatever works for you. So finding length, and then into the side bend. And maybe you start here with that lower arm, bringing it down to the leg. Finding some external rotation in that upper arm. Maybe you interlock fingers, turn the palms out, and reach a little bit more. Take another breath. Notice how this side feels different than the other. And release. Now coming towards the other side, letting the hand land down. Bringing ourselves into one line, so bring the hips a little bit more forward. If it works, lifting that one arm up. From here, bring the palm forward, reaching over. Taking another breath. Bring the arm back up. Maybe staying here or lifting. That one leg, the straight leg. Finding extension into the arms, into the heel. Take another breath. And release the foot down. Coming around, lifting up. Bring the hands down, cat and cow. One or two more rounds. With an exhale, rounding. With an inhale, arching of the spine. Exhale, chin to the chest. And then inhale, arch your spine. And coming around again. And then from here either come into child's pose or come into a downward facing dog. 3 steady breaths wherever you are. Notice what's going on in your body. Noticing your breath. Just watching the breath. In case you're in child's pose, then please lift your knees and come into downward facing dog if that feels right. And we walk our arms or our feet forward towards the arms, coming into a forward fold. Shaking the head no. And yes. And then from here bringing the tailbone down and then rolling up. Coming to a standing. Alright. So coming to mountain pose. Let's, feet about hip width apart. Let's lift all the toes, spreading them. Let's bring the pinkies down first, one after the other. Big toes are lifted, and then the big toes come down. Then lifting the big toes, one after the other. Feel your inner arches, so grounding into the mounds of the toes, spreading the toes. And then lifting up into the crown of the head, lifting up into your chest. Mountain pose. Okay, with an inhale, let's lift arms, let's lift heels. And then with an exhale, coming down. Let's do one more. Inhale, lifting up, reaching. And then exhale, coming down. And then let's do an asymmetrical pattern. So we move the arms and turning the head in an asymmetrical way. Let's just see how it goes. So with an inhale, lifting the arms, and I will mirror you. So keep lifting the right arm and turn the head over towards the left side. And with an exhale, the head to center, the right arm lowers, and you lower the arms, lower the heels. Inhale, we're lifting the arms halfway. The left arm keeps lifting, we turn the head towards the right, the heels lift, and then with an exhale, the head to center. The arm lowers and both arms lowers, the heels lower. And let's do 2 more with the breath. So inhale, we keep lifting, the right arm lifts, the head turns towards the left. And then exhale, coming down, head to center. Inhale, switching sides, so the left arm keeps lifting, the head turns towards the right. And then exhale, back to center and lower. And then do 1 on your own. Move with your breath. Alright, and release. Okay. Let's do shoulder circles. Feeling your shoulder blades. Going the other way, maybe going in big circles. And release. Okay. So from here, let's come into a warrior 2. So I'm mirroring you again. So I bring my left leg forward and the right foot back. So warrior 2, we are in one line. The front knee comes over the front heel. We gently push that front knee out. And then when you're ready, lifting the arms. Working from the ground up. So first lifting the toes, creating that inner arch for that front foot, bring the toes down. And then maybe the same for the back foot. Creating an inner arch as much as that is possible, grounding into the outside of that back foot. Lowering the shoulders a little bit, so finding the stability and the comfort as well, and enjoyment. And then from here, let's move a little bit, bringing a little bit of fluidity into the pose. So with an exhale now, curling, so bring the arms in, bending that back knee, rounding, and then with an inhale, opening back up. Exhale, rounding, and then inhale, back to center. Let's do 2 more with your breath. So when you ground, or when you curl, you bend the back knee, and we come back to center. Take another breath. From here, let's reach forward, finding a side angle pose. So the elbow can go above the knee, upper arm can stay on the low back, or you bring the upper arm over. Any variation, so maybe you have a block, maybe you bring the arm all the way down. Sinking into the hips, and at the same time hugging the legs a little bit together. Notice how that feels in your body. Take another breath. And then from here we come back up. Warrior 2, straighten the front leg. For a triangle, so maybe we shorten the stand a little bit, but still having that one foot point forward, the front foot, back foot turning in a little bit, and then reaching forward, releasing the hand, and then bringing the upper arm up, or keeping it on the low back. Making sure that front knee is not locked, so pushing the hand into the leg pushes back. Moving the shoulders away from the ears, maybe looking up, maybe looking forward or down. And then bend the front knee, lift up. And then from here, let's turn or pivot the legs around. Let's come into a wide-legged forward fold. So outside of the feet are parallel, the toes, let's lift them, ground into the mounts of all the toes and bring the toes down. And here either keeping the hands on the hips, the hands behind, interlocking behind the low back, opening the chest, or maybe using a strap or towel. Inhale, then with an exhale, come to a forward fold. Letting your head hang, shaking your head maybe no and yes. Maybe lifting the arms up. Can be a little bit of a bend in the knees. Take another breath. And then release the hands, bring the hands towards the hips, squeeze the legs, and then from here let's lift up all the way. Right. Coming back to center. And then let's do one more standing pose here, goddess pose. So turning the toes out, it's like a mid-wide stand. And first let's bring the hands on the knees, and then here let's go from side to side. Just checking in how the hips feel. Alright, and then coming back to center. And then maybe you stay here in your goddess pose, a couple of breaths. Maybe you come into chini arms. Or if you want to do a little bit more, or a little bit of a side bend, you can lift the arms and either grab hands, or maybe opposite forearms or elbows. Making sure that it's not too much of an arch of the low back. And then maybe coming into a side bend. So with an exhale, coming over towards the right side. And then inhale to center. And exhale towards the other side. Doing that 1 or 2 more times. So moving with the breath. So reaching into the elbow. Maybe you do the side bend with reaching the arms. Maybe you straighten the legs in between and you come back in. So whatever works. And release. Right. Let's wiggle a little bit, shake a little bit. And we come towards warrior 2 on the other side. So turning around. Now you're in case first the left foot was out, now the right leg is out. Front knee over the heel, back foot a little bit in, checking in, so sinking into the hips, lifting the arms. Maybe lifting the front toes here, spreading them, bringing them down. And then maybe also for the back foot, spreading the toes, grounding them down, grounding into the outside of that back foot. And then adding the movement, some fluidity. So it's an exhale, a rounding, a curling back, knees bent, and then it's an inhale, coming back into warrior two. So exhale, round, and then inhale, straighten up. So do 2 more on your own. Move with your breath. And then finding your way back to warrior two. And then from here, reaching forward, finding your side angle pose. So maybe just leaning a little bit back. So leaning that upper shoulder back, keeping that upper arm over your head, maybe bringing the upper arm up. Take 1 more breath. And from here, we're lifting up. Straightening the front leg, maybe shortening the stand a little bit for triangle pose. So reaching forward, lowering the hand somewhere on the leg. The leg is strong, pushes back. Stacking the shoulders, maybe lifting the arm. Steady breath. Grounding into the front foot, the mound of the front foot, mound of the big toe. And the big toe itself. And bending the front knee, lifting up. Shaking the legs a little bit. And then from here we come into goddess pose again. So bending the knees into the direction of the feet. And for this one, let's do genie arms. So 1 forearm on top of the other, releasing shoulders. And then here with an exhale, coming into a twist. So bringing the elbows over the upper body. And then with an inhale, coming out of the twist. And then with an exhale, over towards the other side. And back to center. Anytime you need to, straighten the legs. But in case you do that movement with straight legs, have the knees a little bit soft. We kind of want to keep, if that works for you, the hips more leveled. If you feel like you want to move with the hips, you can do that as well, certainly. But see how much you can reach these arms back. What's your range of motion? Let's do 1 more round. And then from here, release, and we lift up, and we shake the legs, and then we come to the front of the mat. Lots of length. And then from here, let's do a half sun salutation. So we start, from mountain pose, long spine, grounding into the feet, with an inhale, we lift the arms. There's an exhale coming to a forward fold. Inhale, we lift halfway. And then exhale, fold. And then there's an inhale, lifting up all the way. And the arms with us if that works. And exhale, hands to the heart. And to the side. Let's do 1 more. Inhale, lifting the arms and the amount. Exhale, hinging from the hips. Always can bend your knees. Again, do around your spine. Inhale, we find that length opening from the chest. Exhale, we fold. And then inhale, lift up all the way, opening the arms. Maybe look up. And exhale, hands to your heart. And to your side. And if you're up for it, either follow along or you stay in mountain pose. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward. Wonderful movement to open up the shoulders, the neck. Inhale, lifting up, and then exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees a lot, and then bring the hands down and go back to downward facing dog. About 3 breaths. You also can come into child's pose, certainly. Steady breath, reaching the hips back, finding length in your spine, letting the heels reach down. And then with your next inhale, lift one leg and reach it up. Take another breath, find some length, try to push into the heel, trying to keep the hips leveled. And then we bring that foot forward all the way. So maybe you give it a lift, and we bring the back knee down. From here, let's bring the knees, the hands on the knees. And then let's sink into the hips. And we come out. And while we do that, so sinking forward, we try to pull the belly in, keep the tailbone long. Let's do one more. And then the next time you're forward, so grounding down, a lot of support from the low belly for the low back, either staying here, maybe bringing the arms along the body, maybe lifting the arms. Maybe finding a little bit of a back bend, so lifting from the chest, the tailbone is still long. Take another breath. And release. Let's come into a twist. So bring the opposite hand, so in case your right foot is forward, bring the left hand down. Maybe using a block, and then lifting the other upper shoulder. Bringing the arm up. So twisting towards that front knee, moving the shoulders away from the ears. And for this one, if it works for you, maybe walk that foot a little bit out, that front foot, and let the knee come out a little bit more. So notice how that is changing any stretch around your hips. It's always an option to keep the low back, the other hand on the low back. And release. Coming back either to a child's pose, taking another breath here, or into downward facing dog. And let's all come into downward facing dog. And you're ready, lifting the second leg. So first finding length. So the standing leg can be bent, but the lifted leg, have it straight. Take another breath. And then bringing that foot forward. So hugging in, letting it land, come forward, maybe giving it a lift. So bringing the foot between your hands all the way forward. Lowering the back knee, lifting up. And certainly you can use a blanket underneath the back knee. And then a few pulses coming forward, coming out. So lots of support from the belly. And then the next time you're forward, staying here, maybe sinking a little bit more, maybe not so much. So checking in how you feel, a scissoring of the legs, lengthening of the tailbone. Maybe the arms go along your body, so finding a little bit of back bend from here, so lifting from the chest, maybe lifting the arms. Take another breath. And then release. And then for a twist, maybe using a block. So the opposite hand from the leg that is forward. And then lifting that other shoulder towards the bent knee. And then finding your twist. That works for you. Maybe lifting the arm. And if you want to play around a little bit with alignment and form. So maybe walking the front foot a little bit out, turning the foot a little bit out, letting the knee come to the outside. And then notice how this is changing the stretch. And then release. And then from here, coming back, either child's pose or downward facing dog. You can stay in child's pose, you can come into downward facing dog. You can stay in downward facing dog. You also can come forward to plank. With plank also it counts when the knees are down. But whatever you do, have the tailbone long, lift between the shoulder blades. So when the knees are down, notice whether you're sinking, push into the hands, tailbone long. Maybe another breath here. And let's bring the knees down. Come into child's pose, one breath. And then from here we're lifting back up. Coming back into a downward facing dog, and then let's come into a pigeon pose. So lifting one leg, and then bringing that knee forward behind the same side wrist. So walking the back leg a little bit more back. So when your knee landed in the middle, bring it a little bit more out. And maybe you come down into resting pigeon right away. Or maybe you work a little bit on proud pigeon. So finding more length, walking the back leg back, and then scissoring the legs, hugging the legs, finding a little bit of a lift. Spreading all the toes of the front foot and rounding them down. Maybe the arms stay on the side. Maybe the arms lift. It's also strong support for the low back from the belly. And release. And then coming down into resting pigeon. And what I haven't mentioned so far is, certainly if that front knee is bothering you, come around right away. And here, come into your figure four. Same stretch without the weight of your body on the knee. So take a couple of breaths here. Maybe for this one, you did proud pigeon before, where there's a lot of engagement. Maybe now you allow your hips to sink down. What a yin-like approach. Take another breath here. And then lifting up. Hands underneath the shoulders, coming into a downward facing dog, maybe walking your dog. Maybe lifting that same side leg, releasing, bending, stretching, whatever works for you. And then when you're ready, lifting the other leg. And then from here, bringing the knee forward, behind the wrist. And then walking the back leg back. So checking in here actually right away, that front knee. You want to come on your back for figure four. Maybe you come down into resting pigeon right away, or maybe you work on proud pigeon. So walking the back leg a little bit more back, then hugging in, scissoring the legs, lifting, maybe staying here. Maybe arms along the body. Maybe the arms lift. One more breath. And then release. And then from here, we're coming down, finding resting pigeon, sinking into the hips. Allowing the hips to sink down. Trying to keep the hips leveled. If the stretch is too much, too intense on the outside of the hip, you can certainly use a block or blanket underneath the hip. So it can float. The question actually is whether you can breathe while you're stretching? Or is it too intense? Take one more breath here. And from here, you bring the hands underneath the shoulders, lifting up. Downward facing dog, walking your dog, 1 or 2 breaths or whatever movement feels good in your body. And then we bring the knees down. And then from here we turn around, coming around all the way. And then for any last movement, before we come into Shavasana, check in what you need. So maybe it's just a pumping of the hips. Maybe you do a little bit of movement with the knees from side to side, a lot of engagement from the belly. Maybe for a few breaths you stay in a spinal twist, any version of spinal twist. So whatever your body needs, maybe it's just a heavy baby pose. And then maybe from heavy baby pose, you come into a spinal forward fold, wrapping the arms around the legs, pulling the legs towards your upper body. And release. And then prepare for your Shavasana. So straightening the legs, the arms along the body. And then make fists, tighten arms, legs, your whole body. And release. And then one more, making fists, tightening arms, legs, your whole body. Make faces. And release. And then soften your whole body. Sink into the ground. Soften your face. And then enjoy Shavasana, the stillness in your body and in your mind. And I will call you back. If you feel like you want to take a longer Shavasana, feel free to stay wherever you are. Otherwise, take a deep inhale and a long exhale. Inhaling all the way in. Hold your breath. And then exhale all the way out. And bring movement back into your body. Wiggle fingers, wiggle toes. Maybe bring your arms over your head and come into a full body stretch. And release. From here, bring the knees to the chest. And rolling towards your favorite side. And whenever you're ready, keeping the eyes closed, keeping the head heavy, lifting up And then coming towards the sitting. Any sitting. Then let's bring the hands to our heart. We're closing with one round of Om. You're welcome to join. So let's all exhale. And then fully inhale. And let's remember that we always have the choice to come back to our breath. Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a wonderful day, a lovely day, and I hope to see you soon on the mat.